I today got a great opportunity to talk to Trey Andrews. He runs an office he's a registered investment advisor out of Arizona. I've known Trey for a year or two now. Think very highly of him. Great entrepreneur, great business owner. And what I wanted to do today is just get a short his outtake on using global talent and how AI is playing into the industry right now. So Trey, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience here and tell us a little bit about your experience with using VAs from the Philippines and how AI is kind of shaping. Yeah, I know you mentioned to me earlier about this paradigm shift that business owners are now realizing when it comes to using these tools that are available to them.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Yeah, and we've known each other for a little over 2 years now, I think it is, and just so grateful that our paths crossed. And we have had such a wonderful experience with our virtual assistant. And my schedule is pretty demanding. I have multiple businesses. My core business, as you mentioned, is a registered investment advisory business here in Tucson, Arizona. But we have quite a few things going on, and my business partners and I are constantly expanding the scope and the opportunities that we have in front of us, and the ability to just delegate to someone. To all I have to do is put it on my virtual assistant's radar, and they take it from there. They percolate that back in front of me. Hey, this didn't get scheduled. Do you want me to keep following up? Yeah, it's already cleared my mind. If she doesn't bring it back up, there's a chance that the follow through doesn't happen. But for me, I trust her and I trust the systems we have in place to now not only percolate but also execute. And so for us, following up with leads, opportunities, making sure that networking or centers of influence, subject matter experts, if we say we want to do it, it's going to get done, and it's not on me anymore. And that bandwidth that frees up emotionally and mentally for me, for my team, for my business partners is pretty substantial. And I underestimated how much of a needle mover that would be. And when you overlay AI in combination with someone who is eager to work, who loves the opportunity, who you feel like is saying thank you for giving me something else to make me more indispensable to you, I can't understate how or overstate how big of a deal that is. A lot of times when you are making a hire decision, you're thinking through all the logistics, the training, the onboarding, the brain damage that comes with all those many check boxes and lists of things to do. When it's just batteries included, here's a new person to assist you.
Yeah.
That takes instead of being whole, it's instead of being a checklist of other checklist items, it takes to-dos off my plate. And so I didn't realize what an unlock that would be. And yeah, it's been extremely helpful as we've been working together for nearly 2 years now.
Thank you for that. I hear that story over and over again. Tell me this. Was there an initial pushback to the concept of working with someone overseas, thousands of miles away in a foreign country? The Philippines is far, and it's like,
Yeah.
how did you get your mind around that? What helped you process through that issue?
Yeah. You know, there's nothing like a personal referral and personal experience and somebody who's had a good track record. So definitely recommending you myself, but it's because y'all became highly recommended to me in the first place. And so there was a barrier of trust or speed of trust that I borrowed other people's experience to get okay with it. And there are certainly things because of my core business. It's a highly regulated industry, so we had to work, around some of those challenges. But we found a system that worked even within my industry and outside of my industry in the other businesses. Boy, that's a free sandbox. We can do all kinds of stuff, and it's playtime. It's go. So that has been a very different experience than my core in terms of getting around, getting over and embracing the fact someone's from a different culture, from a different part of the world, I should say, more importantly. Um, because that person, I respected them, and because I knew other people who had worked with other virtual assistants elsewhere. It really lowered the concern to me. But because I had someone who was boots on the ground who knew her before I knew her and knew that they had a vetting process and knew that she had already, been acquainted with the system and the management at BusyBees, that there wasn't nearly the concern as when I first heard it.
Yeah.
I toyed with this idea way too long. I should have pulled the trigger a lot sooner. And that once we closed those loops and figured out how we needed to play, I have no hesitation. I can't tell you how many people I have conversations with, like, this is an unlock. You don't understand what an unlock this is until you do it. And you know, I hope it is for everybody else who tries it, because it certainly has been for us.
I appreciate that. So, final words. What would you say, or what do you say? Because I know you talk to a lot of people
Mhm.
in your business. You're constantly talking to entrepreneurs, business owners.
Yeah.
Where do you see this paradigm shift? What does a business owner have to get over? Like you said, you wish you had pulled the trigger a long time ago. Where do you see the future of business now with AI? This whole new thing has popped onto our screen, right? As at the last 2 years or so. How do you see the two jiving, working together? In other words, American business owners need to be more proactive and more efficient in what they do. It is such a competitive world out there. And we know that your staffing solutions, your business efficiencies, all of the bottlenecks within our businesses need to be improved, or else we'll be left behind. I mean, business is accelerating at such a fast pace right now. I mean, tomorrow there's a new thing on the radar, right, with AI, etc. How do you couple the human talent with AI, and what do you suggest? Because I know you're in this industry as well. I know the projects
Yep.
you're working on. You're at the cutting edge of what business processes are being created right now. What would you say to business owners that will give them value? Where should they be looking?
Yeah. You know, in my the business owner is the entrepreneur is constantly having to solve for highest and best use. At least the best of them are, right? You're constantly evaluating what is the most amount of leverage I can get for this amount of effort, energy, capital, whatever it might be. And so um, sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. And this is one of those things where, as you remove the fray, as you remove the noise, you can actually have huge unlocks. It's There was a great book, The One Thing, about Keller Williams, and how what's the lead domino, and so you're constantly looking for lead domino type activities. And in this case, AI is one of those lead dominoes. In this case, virtual assistant is one of those lead dominoes, because it solves a multitude of problems, not one problem. And so it has a replicating, a multiplying effect. By making one decision, you end up solving many other, and even having to avoid having to make a whole host of other decisions. And for me, the opportunity lies in pairing people, process, and technology. And if you don't ever want to overlay, you don't want to just throw people at a problem. You don't want to just throw technology at a problem. You have to have process. But once you have process, and sometimes people and technology can help you build the process, but it's all at the process. And then you pair those other two, and they're force multipliers for one another. And it's just a self-iterating, self-replicating, wonderful ecosystem there once you figure out that flywheel. But for me, I think just recognizing the unlocks that those lead dominoes would provide to my business was just huge. And it's been fun to have a front row seat to those that, as I've brought the good news, so to speak, to others. It's fun to watch other people have those unlocks as well. So,
Awesome.
maybe my
Awesome.
thoughts.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you 100%. We see that daily. Thank you, Trey Andrews. Thank you so much for speaking with us today. Hopefully, um, we can, take your advice and start to become more efficient at what we do. We appreciate your time, and thank you so much.